What's good, boys? It's Gahul here with another mildly angry movie review, although I'm gonna be pretty positive in this video. I just saw the new Ryan Gosling movie, The Fall Guy. I'm not sure if it's The Fall Guy or just Fall Guy. Not to be confused with Fall Guys, the video game. This is just Fall Guy singular. If you don't know the premise for this movie, I'll tell you that first before I tell you my overall impressions. Premise of the movie is there's a stuntman who's the lead stuntman for this very famous actor, and he gets injured on set and kind of gets stung with being a stuntman. But then he's living on his own, and then the main actor goes missing, so gets called in to come save the movie and find the lead actor to so the movie can go on. But he was in a relationship with the former director, so there's a love romance angle to it too. And I gotta say, I thought this movie was excellent. Um, well, it was great. It was a very fun movie. There are parts of it that I could probably say are a little bit, I don't know, a little bit. It felt like a very fun from the. It's very felt like a very genuine fun movie. It wasn't very intelligently written, if that makes sense. Like it didn't really like live up to like a. It wasn't like a super smart movie. It was very dumb, but not in a bad way. It was. I'll get some backstory. The very beginning of this movie really sets the tone. Even before the actual movie started, they had the director and Ryan Gosling come up and talk to the audience and tell them to put away their cell phones. But in that, you find out that the director of this movie was originally a stuntman, and that was his job. He was originally a stunt guy, and now he's directing this movie. And I think that really shows just the whole movie, because the whole movie is basically just like what I imagine all of the crew. It's like a love letter to the crew, but the stunt crew specifically, but just like the behind the scenes people in a studio, a movie shoot, right? Like there were so many action scenes in this movie that felt like, hey, here's all the cool stuff we use for our stunt crew. Wouldn't it be cool to make a movie stunt out of the things we use our stunt work for? Um, and like show them that. And it's very much a movie. You can tell it's a movie written by a stunt guy because it's got a lot of love letters to everything about like creating movies and creating stunt work for movies. And I don't know if all the stunts are like 100% real, but they show a lot of the behind the scenes stuff at the end with the real stunt guys in the end credits. There's lots of references to Miami Vice, which I think is like there's Ryan Gosling in this movie wears the Miami Vice stunt crew jacket, which may be the hardest look anyone has ever had in the history of film. Um, the drive jacket looks like dog shit. The Miami Vice like padded motorcycle bike jacket thing he's got in this is so fucking sweet. It is so cool, and there's like they played the Miami. First of all, this movie's a banger. They start off with a bunch of like showcases of like movie action scenes, like to say, "Oh, here's all the action scenes." They kind of like point out where like stunt guys were in these movies, and one of the movies was Fast Five, and the other movie was Hobbs and Shaw. So you know what? Technically, this movie is borderline canon to the Fast and Furious films, but and I will say the plot kind of gets caught up. The main driving force of this movie is actually the romance between Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling. The whole like missing star and like kind of like real life dangerous thing. It's like a backseat. It's really their romantic interest movie, and their romance is pretty good. It's a fun romance. It's kind of like that he is Emily Blunt in the gay movie is a camera operator, a camera worker, and then she ends up becoming the director of this new movie, and Ryan Gosling gets injured on a set doing a stunt, and he kind of like takes it really hard and kind of shuts off and changes his phone number and kind of goes and lives on. And he takes upon the white trash Ryan Gosling look. He's got a fucking huge mullet, drives like this weird like pickup truck with headlights, and where he's wearing like wife beaters and stuff. It's a very cool look, baby. Very cool look, Ryan. You're literally me. You got a sweet look in this. But I gotta say, So the whole like, oh, they broke up because, and he broke up with her because he couldn't handle his own whatever, and she's mad at him. He's got to win her back, and it's a very simple romance, but it's also very fun. It feels very genuine, and it's a driving force of the whole movie behind it. And then there's these action stuff and drama intrigue that keeps you going. You as an audience member kind of want more of that, but you still enjoy and have fun with the romance too. Um, and the main villain is ends up being, spoiler alert, spoiler alert if you haven't seen the movie. The main villain ends up being the main actor. It turns out it's all a twist and a setup to get Ryan Gosling there so they can frame him for a murder. The lead, the actor guy, who I forget, I think it's like Tom Ryder, which I think is supposed to be like a stand-in for Tom Cruise, but they also mentioned Tom Cruise. I don't think it's like a purposeful jab at the guy, but it's like this really egotistical Hollywood star guy. And what's it called? It ends up being a very fun movie with a lot of cool action like ideas, and there's a couple of car chases in this movie that are really well done. There's like the bad guys are in a dump truck. There's a dog that knows French for his commands, which is kind of funny. And the best part is there's no politics, there's no weird bullshit where they like, there's not a single moment of weird like, even in like good movies nowadays, sometimes there's like a little bit of like, oh, like girls get it done or whatever, or like political crap somewhere. There's not a drop. It's just a very fun, well-made movie. I mean, you can make an argument, but it's not intentional. It's not propaganda. There's no propaganda slid in. They just went out there. They made a good fucking movie. And honestly, maybe we should let more of these crew guys who come up through the actual, a lot of modern Hollywood writers and directors are like these film studies, like guys who spend a lot of time, like, doing like Reddit writing, essays or whatever this shit. Maybe we should spend less time with them and more time with the actual guys who make the movies and seem to know a lot about the technical background of making movies. I think they are the people who we should be giving the directorial reins to, because this is a great, fun, enjoyable, lighthearted movie. They show there's a fake. There's a lot of layers. The one thing this movie, it's very meta. It's very much so. So like when the beginning of the movie, Ryan Gosling comes out and tells you, "Oh, make sure to turn off your cell phones." But so the very beginning is very much like talking to the audience, and I think that actually really helped set up the meta-ness of this movie, because there's times in the movie when it's literally just almost exactly the characters explaining their romantic issues within the context of them talking about. So there's a movie that they're filming called Metal Storm, which this lady Emily Blunt is the director of. I think her character's name is Jodie. I forget what the Ryan Gosling. It's Ryan Gosling. His name is whatever, but he's literally me. So me, literally me, and her and Emily Blunt have like an argument on the set of the movie, talking about the script of the movie, but really just a parallel for their own romantic issues, which is also them directly talking to the audience, explaining the romantic issues of the characters to the audience. So it's kind of like it's meta within the characters' world, but it's also meta within our world. Because there's a scene later when they're talking about the script of the movie, which is code word for them talking about their relationship issues, which is also then mirrored like cinematographically by them. They say, "What do you think about split screens?" And then they literally cut to a split screen. It's very meta level deep, but it's not like annoying or what's it called, pretentious about it. It's not a pretentious meta. It's very much a fun, have a good time meta. And it's not like a Reddit meta either. It's just like hey, we're cool. It's not even like self-awareness. It's literally just like using the fact that it's a movie within a movie to make some good jokes, have some good gags, have a little bit of clever writing thrown in there, which I think is a-okay. If you're not a big fan of meta, you may not like this movie. I'm just going to warn you. For everyone else, though, it's a big win. It's a big success. It's not a serious movie. And I think if you're like into like really like high level, like from like, it's not like an incredibly great action movie. There's a lot of fun scenes, there's a lot of fun stuff, and there's a lot of fun stunt work and visuals and all that. But it's not like an incredibly like intense fun action movie. Like the John Wick films is a good comparison. Those movies are made by the second unit director of a bunch of other action movies. So essentially, the second unit director is the guys who work on all the action scenes, and then there's the first unit director who does all the more dramatic or tension or dialogue scenes. So those movies are very much like action movies made by the action like directors of other movies. Like what these are what action movie directors think a movie should be. This movie is literally what a stunt guy thinks a movie should be, which is with both its shortcomings, without both that it's there's some good things about that. There are some shortcomings. It's not a very smart movie. I don't mean that in a super bad way, but like you can tell it's kind of like, oh, you can tell this was written by someone who's not like a super professional writer, which is refreshing and good. Um, but it also is a little bit like this is like what this guy like it feels like a bunch of like guys like having fun and spitballing ideas for a movie. That's how this movie got made, right? Which I'm okay with. I don't need to be super serious and dramatic all the time. It doesn't take itself too seriously. um I don't know, what this the movie theater I went to was quite full. There was a guy sitting next to us in a kilt. I went with my friend Adam, and there was a guy sitting next to us in a kilt. But he was wearing it quite well. It was kind of a cool look. So I don't know if that says something about the audience for this movie. I don't think Ryan Gosling would ever wear a kilt, so I don't think that guy is literally him, but maybe I'm wrong. But I will say there was a lot of it was a very packed theater, and usually my movie theater I go to usually doesn't have a lot of people, but I'm also going on a Friday night, to be fair. I usually don't go on Friday nights, but it was a respectable, packed, very full, not like packed, but like it was a decent sized crowd for the movie. And everyone seemed to leave pretty happy. I left having a great time. There was parts where I laughed really hard. One thing I did like, the song "I Was Made for Loving You" by Kiss is like the thematic song for this movie. It plays like all the time, like for through a ton of scenes. The movie opens with it. And there's a bunch of like really fun, creative remixes of the movie to make it more like sad and dramatic. There's a sad version of it that plays when he like fakes his own death. There's like a dramatic version, like a tense like action movie version. They remixed it a lot to like make it fit the scene, and I thought that was very clever and fun. It was very there's a couple of odd song choices, but there and then but I think it was "The Loneliest Stuntman," the country song. That's what the credit song was, and of course you got to do that. um and they showed, I mean, I really appreciate it. Felt like a movie made by people who love making movies, and I liked that. It was very positive. There was not really anything super negative about it. I mean, there were bad people in the movie, but it wasn't like a weird feeling. It was very fun. It did make me feel like a piece of shit for living, which happens a lot. Movies make me feel like a piece of shit for existing sometimes. Um, but not Fall Guy, not Ryan Gosling. He wouldn't do that to me. Ryan Gosling has said he's not done making depressing movies. That he's in his white pill era, boys, and so am I. I'm full of white pills right now. Life's gonna be going good, and I gotta say, this movie gets my highest recommendation. Um, it's a fun time. It's not a perfect movie. It has its shortcomings. Here's the thing. I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 5 stars, which is technically a perfect rating. In terms of the grand scheme of movies, it is not the best movie in the world. It is not supposed to be the best movie in the world. For what it sets out to do, which is make an entertaining, fun, good old fashioned romp that plays a lot, that feels like a love letter to the actions, the stuntmen of film. It does that great. The stunt crew at the end uses all of their stunt rigging and timed explosions. They have like a giant airbag they use, and they use them all as weapons in the final action scene. And I think that's really what's it all about. Also, the Metal Storm movie, the fake movie, also looks like it might be kind of cool. It was clearly like trying to parody Dune, which is weird because Dune just came out, but um, it's like a parody Dune, but like all the people have like heavy metal guitars as their weapons, like these like guitar guns, and like it's about a space cowboy. And you know what? Gotta say, it looked pretty fun. Looks like a little bit, got a space cowboy beating up some aliens. Maybe that's kind of what we want. Maybe that looks like a good movie. I'll watch Metal Storm. If they actually make Metal Storm a real movie, I'd watch it. People need to stop being afraid of making things look cool. That's one of the things Hollywood has trouble with. They are very difficult at releasing cool things that are badass. Everything has to be kind of like kind of like beige, and we can't go too edgy. We can't be too epic and cool and awesome, guys. We gotta let this play to the general masses. We'll get too niche and weird. We'll turn people away if we're too awesome and badass and cool and righteous for our own good. We can't be the coolest fucking thing ever, man. It sucks. It sucks being so cool. Being so cool is awful. We don't want to be awesome and cool. We want to be lame and gay. Well, guess what, buddy? It's time to start making cool movies again. And Metal Storm looking cool movie. Go see The Fall Guy. It's a good movie to see in theaters, although it would probably also be very good to watch at home. I don't think despite it being like an action, like it being about like stunts and action sets pieces and stuff, the action set pieces aren't super grand and epic. They're just kind of like cool. They're not bad. They're cool and they're fun, but they're not super like impressive. They're just kind of like they're they're very basic, I guess is what I would say. I mean, 'cause there's a couple of they're very technically well executed, but they are quite basic in like what their idea is, which is almost maybe part of the meta. It's like the typical stunt guy, like you know, oh, we're gonna do we're gonna roll the car, or we're gonna do a dive, we're gonna set ourselves on fire, right? Or we're gonna jump a boat over a flaming thing, right? It's all like basic, like, oh, we do this stuff all the time. And that's what all the sets in the movie, the stunts in the movie are like, which kind of is maybe part of the meta joke of it. But what that ends up leading to is a movie that is not like super important to see in theaters, I feel. Look at my dogs. Say hello, Ranger. He's not biting his rope. He's biting his rope. He's getting his rope pulled. He wants to play rope with me. I gotta play with my dog, guys. I would recommend it in theaters, but if you miss it, definitely watch it on your TV. You can download it or pay for streaming if you're into that, I guess. Uh, lots of options for you, but I'd recommend watching it. It's definitely worth a watch. Very fun. Excited for the White Pill era. We're living in the good days, boys. Um, yeah, it was very fun. The new Big Baby on Monday, and I watched another movie that I might do another review on, but I don't know if I have anything good to say about it. I don't think I have enough to say about it, so we'll see. We'll talk to you later, guys. Peace out. Fall Guy, go watch it. Ryan Gosling, literally me. If anyone has a lead on the Miami Vice stunt crew jacket, then they'd be like, if anyone can get that, that's so fucking cool. So cool. Genuinely awesome. All right, guys. Peace out.